What was hugely hyped up but flopped? I still remember 3D TVs were supposed to be the next technological leap or something. Even the World Cup was broadcasted in 3D. Then it just died out. It was fun playing Cody Black Ops and 3rd on the PS3 back in the day. It was definitely a gimmick though. Fun but made me worse at the game. I remember Black Ops 2 had that split screen feature where it's both screens blended together, but your glasses split the images, so you only see your own character. Crap wasn't the most clear picture, but crap was definitely badass. The end of the world in 2012. I actually broke up with my girlfriend at the time because she wouldn't shut up about how the world was going to end because the magnetic poles were going to flip and the Mayans had predicted it. I loved her, but I eventually just came to the realization that she was a freaking idiot and we had no future together. She was also very into Connie 2012, which was extremely cringe. My ex legitimately got mad at me because I wouldn't steal my dad's guns and go into hiding with him for 2012. I feel your pain. Google+. It stayed in invitation only phase for way too long. By the time it was open to everyone, people forgot about it and it flopped. They also forced you to use it if you had any other kind of Google account, so people naturally resisted it. What they didn't understand is that people use other social media websites if they have something unique to offer. Unfortunately now it seems like every social media site is copycatting each other. G+ did have something unique to offer. The circles idea was a much more natural and privacy conscious way to think about friends and sharing, compared to Facebook, which defaulted to everything you shared being open to all your friends. I have school friends, uni friends, work colleagues, family, extended family, other acquaintances, and the way I interact with different groups and what I share with them is and should be different. G+ made this a core feature, whereas Facebook made it painful. If anything was going to be a Facebook killer, G+ was it. The problem with G+ is that, by the time it came along, Facebook was already way too entrenched as the main mass market social network. If the top 20 or 30 of my Facebook friends had all spontaneously migrated to G+, I would have shut my Facebook account and migrated over there too. But in the absence of that, it's too much effort to have to maintain and check 2 accounts, share things in 2 places, etc. Facebook wasn't better, but it won by inertia. Mini CDs. Depends on where you were. In the US and Europe, it was a flop. But in Japan, it was a big success, lasting well past the launch of the iPod. I think you mean mini disc. I think the other person does too. Quibi. That streaming service with nothing over 10 minutes. Launched about 3 weeks after the world shut down. I was in film school when it was released. We had to get it to talk about the future of streaming. I watched 2 episodes of something, then cancelled my account. And then they cancelled the whole service a couple months later. Lol. Every single toy my wife has bought for the cat. Our cat's favorite toy is a stick our son likes to drag around the yard. We buy them toys, but they found the most joy out of something he found in the backyard. As any good dater's kid can tell you, new Coke. Yep. The level of hype vs how hard it flopped dwarfs everything else in this thread. The conspiracy theory is it was a ploy to remarket Coke as Coke Classic. Fee Festival. Fee Festival is the ultimate hyped but flopped. It's a cautionary tale of what not to do when organizing and or promoting something. It's really just a cautionary tale not to scam people. Its organization and promotion worked totally efficiently, but it was a scam from start to end. Otherwise it wouldn't have worked, and we wouldn't be talking about it today. Geraldo Rivera's special mystery of Al Capone's vault in the 1980s. Followed closely by George Newman's mystery of Al Capone's glove compartment. Road maps. Connie 2012. For the first month or so, I thought Connie was a band. When I first heard about it, I thought a guy named Connie was running for president. Mayo. Not a total flop per se, but Drake Bell's music career. Both Nickelodeon and Universal tried to make him into a pop star, but it never quite happened. He's still only known for Drake and Josh, and some unfortunate other things. He did a nationwide tour in 2016/2017 in the US, going to different high schools, and he came to mine and did a concert. Supposedly he only did the tours because he was bankrupt. Dude looked really bad and there was zero life in his eyes as he sang. This is giving me BoJack Horseman vibes. The 2018 Slender Man movie, I remember, before it came out it had like a 92% want to see on Rotten Tomatoes. After it came out it got a 17% liked it. Honestly, the movie shouldn't have been PG-13. An R rating, which as far as I know, was actually the original focus, would been much better, as then the movie would been more like the creepypasta, and not like a child's fanfiction. It sucks the R rating was cut, but WLDSM on Ethan OFTHCA child Octoen. It was more of a victim of coming out too late. The Slender Man craze was long and dead before the film released, so any hype for it was like, really? Area 51 raid. Lol, I was actually looking forward to it. Then I never heard anything about so it just dropped from my memory. There was one Naruto runner who actually ran back and forth though. My guy. The Dark Universe, The Mummy. I love the idea of a dark universe done in the style of Brendan Fraser's Mummy. These old monster movies are campy. Universal tried to make them serious with Tom Cruise. They should just make Brendan Fraser universe with all the Universal monsters following his Mummy movies. Jonathan Cold become the Invisible Man after thinking some artifact was valuable, but instead makes him invisible and slightly insane. So O'Connell and Evelyn go on a adventure to stop/save him. Anthem, The Destiny Killer. Makes me think of all of the Halo killer games that everybody forgot or hadn't heard of in the first place. This decade being the Roaring Twenties. Well, the last Roaring Twenties didn't end well. Maybe this one will be opposite and end great. 1920s started with a pandemic roar. When the Segway came out, I remember an expert on Good Morning America saying that they would design cities around it in the future instead of cars. Before it was called a Segway, it was referred to as the thing, and new information about it was treated like freaking nuclear codes. It was called it. I loved the it. I felt so secure the way it locked me right in. You know, for safety. I remember Google Glasses were supposed to be the next big thing, but let me tell you, I haven't seen a single pair out in the wild. They were never released to the public. I believe there were only a handful of developer editions. No Man's Sky flopped real hard on its release. It's better now though. I bought the game about a month ago, seeing that it's doing really well, downloaded it and saw that I had 17 minutes of gameplay that I totally forgot about on release. Day and night Hello Games came through. They really did. The game has come a long way in 5 years. Crystal Pepsi. Crystal Pepsi taught me that everything is a lie. If they can make Pepsi clear or whatever color they want, then what other lies have I been led to believe? With all the lies out there, you can take comfort on the fact there are hot single women near you that want to hook up. Cats the movie. Based on one of the longest running Broadway shows with a star-studded cast, it should have been a hit. But then, well, people saw it. Even the trailer was an abomination. Anyone was expecting anything but holes. The Nivelle Offensive. It was hyped to win WW1 for France in 48 hours. Instead it was so bad that it started a mutiny, got Nivelle fired, and had casualty numbers an order of magnitude higher than expected. WW1 as a whole was overhyped. From Over by Christmas to I haven't seen my family in 4 years. Come on Europe 20-minute adventure, in and out. Geraldo Rivera opening Al Capone's safe on Live TV. It was empty. This was before he became the Witcher's Spanish cousin. Being an adult. Yeah, turns out being an adult just means googling how to do stuff instead of asking your parents. At least Google doesn't yell "you should already know this" at me when I ask something. That one pizza party, specifically in 5th grade. The one pizza to be shared with the whole class of 20 students. As a teacher, I can guarantee that pizza came out of their meager salary. Juicero. The ultimate culmination of unicorn companies that make no sense. I didn't and still don't understand how that thing got so much investment. It wasn't a juicer, it was a pocket presser. Let us not forget, it was a packet presser with a DRM system to make sure you only use their juice packets. Johnny Manziel. Don't forget the original, Ryan Leaf. He was a commentator for the Baylor Kansas game yesterday. First I ever heard him speak outside random montages of crazy over the years. He is actually a pretty good commentator for an ESPN Plus only game streamed by dozens of people. There was one point where they were talking about the OUQB and apparently he's been struggling this year. Leaf goes, sometimes you get all this hype. Mel Kiper had him as the top pick on his board, so everyone goes crazy. Kiper can be wrong. He had me as his top pick. I laughed so hard. The war on drugs. I would like to congratulate drugs for winning the war on drugs. Thanks the CIA. Eden Hazard to Real Madrid. Ouch man. Ouch. Thankfully for you guys it might not ever matter cause freaking Benzema decided to become Ronaldo 2.0 recently. Cyberpunk. It was too hyped, but its initial flaws were blown way out of proportion. The gaming community just piled on the hate when it's secretly a really fun, immersive game, at least in my opinion. I got the game day one and my character had his peen out the entire time. Quicksand. My childhood fear is non-existent. Dude, that's what I thought, and then I actually got stuck in quicksand one time, and it was pretty terrifying. You can't just give this answer without details. Was it wet? Where was it? How long were you there? How did you get out? Answers. Thai beanie babies. Everyone thought they were going to be rich when I was in high school. At the height of the craze, an obnoxious morning DJ said he was going to cut one open to find out what was inside, and the way people reacted, you'd have thought he was going to cut one of his children open to find out what was inside. Atkins diet-esque food items at fast food restaurants in like 2008, or whatever it was. They came and they went like the wind. I remember KFC tried to get in the game at the time by claiming their chicken was healthy because it was low in carbs. That went down like a lead balloon. I remember one of KFC's lame TV commercials at the time. Some dude was standing outside on a sunny day in gym clothes eating KFC and some other dude just walks on screen out of nowhere. Hey, Dave, you look great. What you been doing? Dave's like eating chicken. That David Copperfield special where he made the Statue of Liberty disappear, frick that crap. The one thing I'll never forget from that, they interviewed some older women and she said, I've never seen a Statue of Liberty disappear like that one did. That woman is a comic genius. Dan vs. Dave 1992 Olympics in Barcelona. They were everywhere. Such a big marketing campaign. Then Dan didn't qualify. Hard to explain what a big deal that was to most junior high boys at the time. Reebok literally had a Super Bowl commercial about the big rivalry. Fun fact. Although Dan O'Brien failed to qualify for the 1992 team, he regrouped and 4 years later won the gold in decathlon at the 1996 Summer Games. That's a completely useless piece of trivia that I will never ever forget. Fantastic post. In the Life of Chris Gaines, the project where Garth Brooks created a grunge icon that would premiere in a movie. This might come across badly, but there were some good songs on that album. The Segway. Remember when it was going to, and this is a quote, change the way we designed cities? Lol. I mean, to be fair, people are riding electric scooters everywhere, so maybe not change cities, but the Segway was definitely just ahead of its time and too expensive to have fleets en masse for the public. 2016 Suicide Squad. It's even worse now. It can be compared to 2021's The Suicide Squad. And it sucked plenty to begin with. SS 2016 looked like a bad fan film made by amateurs when it came out. Now it looks like a bad fan film made by people whose only exposure to any kind of film or story was the 2003 Cat in the Hat live action film. Bart and Friends trip to the World's Fair. Theranos. It was more of a scam than a flop. Gowaya. To this day I cannot believe it even got that much hype and money during the Kickstarter campaign. Even in the initial pitch it didn't seem that impressive or interesting, so thankfully I decided to wait until it was out. Never ended up buying one, obviously. Every single second Jesus coming prediction. The worst part is the Bible literally says you won't be able to predict Jesus' second coming. Y2K. I think my dad still has a year's supply of emergency rations in the basement. He asked my mom to start using them for meals. She said he could have them in the divorce. He never asked again. This is a big problem with society in general. Y2K, we spent the money and fixed it. So everyone was like, well, that was overhyped. What a waste of money. If we had actually prepared for coronavirus, like we should have, people would have said the same thing. Y2K could have been really bad, but we spent the time and money to fix the problem. An estimated $100 billion was spent making sure Y2K didn't frick us. It very much was a big deal. Exactly. I get mad when people say this. I worked in a bank and a credit union in the years leading up to Y2K. I first noticed issues with CD maturities in 1996. I remember the software people saying they were working on it. I didn't even know what the issue was, but soon found out. Once I became manager of a small credit union in 1997, I had to regularly test updates to our software as the coders worked on patches. This was done after hours, and I had to report what worked and what didn't. Then the programmers would work some more and send all their crews new updates to test. This went on right up to Y2K. I also had to do quarterly reports to the National Credit Union Administration. I had to provide detailed contingency plans. A lot of work and money went into this issue for years to make it work. Artemis Fowl, the movie. Was it hyped up at all? I remember seeing the trailer, thinking it'd be crap, then not hearing anything about it until reviewers started saying it was crap. I didn't even see the reviews. People knew it was going to be a flop the moment they announced Judi Dench's route. Holly Short was the first female leprechaun ever, and that fact drove several subplots. Windows Vista. Windows 8, on the other hand, Microsoft claimed one OS for all their platforms was the next big thing. A decade later, and they gave every PC a free update to Windows 10 and their smartphones are dead. Of course the backlash started right after it was announced. 3.198 XP 7 they are missed. Literally every date any of the Q leadership deems important. Where's the Kraken? Where's the Storm? Where all this fancy evidence of anything? Where's all that MRTALRW? Where's my goddamn 10 days of darkness? I could use a nice week plus nap. Is there an upcoming date? This weekend was their big march of about 50 people and 200 reporters. The Chevy Chase show. Y2K. It was properly prepared for, so it did not become a widespread problem. Now everyone thinks it was a hoax. Good luck Unix and Linux guys when your change is necessary. Pretty sure Google Glass went away as quickly as it appeared. Haven't heard anything on Microsoft HoloLens in a while either. Google Glass is still big in commercial applications and industrial/warehouse, just not consumer. I think the term glassholes is what really killed it, haha. Wonder Woman 1984. The trailer looked great, seemed to be leaning into all the best aspects of 80s-ness without the suckiness. Instead we got Wonder Woman, the quest for peace. Anyone remember when everyone was going to leave Reddit and move to Vote? It was basically free speech Reddit. Remember when people moved from Dig to Reddit? It will probably happen one day. The thing though is that Reddit was different enough from Dig to get people to move. Vote is just a crappy Reddit clone. The big government will reveal all UFO information couple months back. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Gone by Easter. A degree opening doors to a successful career, so one can buy a home for their lovely family. Lol. Batman vs Superman and Justice League. The worst thing is there are actually 2 animated movies from 2012 called The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2. They are based on the Batman vs Superman storyline and are excellent. They didn't make those animated movies. They could have made Batman vs Superman like that. The Toronto Maple Leafs every season from 1967, 68 to 2020, 21. My Little Orphan Annie decodering. Spore. Yeah, came here for this one. What I was promised was the magnum opus of Will Wright, a huge name at the time, giving you the full civilization treatment from single-celled organism up to a full space empire. What I got was 4 Flash minigames and a space exploration game with all the depth of Dora the Explorer. That being said, the tech behind the creature creation was impressive. There was just very little game attached. The XFL. Which one? The one that flopped, or the one that didn't even start? People suggesting the Y2K/millennium bug forget that others worked excessively during the 90s to ensure nothing bad would happen. This was an incredible success story and should be a lesson for the future. Snakes on a Plane. I worked at a movie theater as a projectionist at the time. That movie had a huge amount of marketing. I was dumbfounded how hard it was being pushed, because it was obviously going to flop. Jump Force. I almost purchased a PS4 for that. Glad I didn't. Daikatana. For coming from such big and admired developers, its flop was amazing. Well, most people didn't like the idea of John Romero making them his bish. The DeLorean. I heard his son is trying to bring back a production electric version. If they don't have a time machine version, then it's a wasted opportunity. The Edsel. It was supposed to be a technological showcase. It had an electronically operated push-button automatic transmission in 1958. The buttons were mounted on the steering wheel. It offered its own brand-specific engines. It was the car of the future, and it was only slightly more expensive than a Ford. But when it came out, you got an overly complicated Ford with a chrome back for a grille. It also didn't help that Chrysler had been offering its much more reliable and much less complicated mechanical push-button operated automatic transmission since 1955. Even Plymouth's had it since 1956. The line was done by 1960 and is still seen as a complete failure. Oh, and the Miracle push-button automatic only lasted 1 year and was replaced with a more conventional column shift. The AIR came onto Kickstarter talking about totally changing gaming. Small and medium-sized companies wanted to publish on it. Goddamn Best Buy was stocking it. Then the mask was off. An Android flavored box top that didn't have enough power to emulate the N64 well, much less run serious games. Initially regretted not backing it, then breathed a huge sigh of relief. Hype was insane and totally misplaced. I thought 2020 would be a great year. Well, hindsight is 2020. The Titanic. Flopped so hard it became an expression. Ironically, the film Titanic was one of the least floppy movies ever made. Actually, that might be a common theme in this thread. A question for a different time might be, what movie about an event that was hugely hyped but then flopped was also hugely hyped but then flopped? Rise of the Robots. I was going to put this myself, but thought that not many people will remember the hype, due to the brain trying to skate over disappointing memories. The world-changing graphics of the robots that were not just cutscenes, but were in gameplay. Then endless delays. Then the most awful release. It was terrible. American version of Godzilla or Zilla. The one the Taco Bell commercial were hyping for. Yes, movie seemed like it was being hyped up for just to flop and then be killed off in Final Wars in an embarrassing way. Final Fantasy 13th. It feels like they changed it halfway through development so that it could appeal to more casual gamers. This was when the Wii started the casual game craze, which is why it feels like it's holding your hand all the time. New Coke. That was a marketing failure on Coca-Cola's part, an example of theory not translating into practice. New Coke fared better in taste tests than other colas, and Coca-Cola was already allowing bottlers to use corn syrup instead of sugar, so it shouldn't have failed on paper. What they perhaps should done was accept the risk of the two products competing and market both New Coke and Coke Classic at the same time. Battlefront 2nd. My dad, who was, and still is, a fan of the 2015 Battlefront game, hated it when it first came out, and so did a lot of others. I didn't mind it tbh, since Iden Versio was fun, and I enjoyed the campaign. It is better now though. The PS2 Battlefront 2 by Pandemic Games is far superior to EA's remake. Zip disks. By all accounts, they should have destroyed CDs in the computing market. This was in 1994, when 3.5-inch floppies with a 1.4 megabyte capacity were still not all that uncommon for media delivery, although CDs were starting to dominate. Zip disks could hold up to 250 megabytes each at launch, and up to 750 megabytes later. Problem? Just too expensive to mass produce for distribution compared to CDs. Ultimately, software publishers went with a cheaper option and adopted CDs as their standard format. Y2K had to be on site at midnight. Security was everywhere and nothing happened. I remember that the major networks had set up to run 24-hour coverage from each time zone as the issues occurred. Later on that afternoon, I turned the TV on to see a stagiaire teaching one of the anchors how to do a card trick. On air, they had nothing to report at all. California recall effort of Gov Newsom. The all-female Ghostbusters reboot. Was it hype though? I remember people not liking the trailers.